Here is a psychology rule regarding your biology. Your thoughts after 11 p.m. are usually liars. And here is the neuroscience to prove it. We have all been there. You are lying in bed, the world is quiet, but your mind is running a marathon of your worst failures. Suddenly, a slightly awkward conversation you had 3 years ago feels like a career-ending catastrophe. The silence of a friend feels like abandonment. Your life's trajectory looks bleak. But why does this happen specifically at night? Why does the same brain that felt confident at 10 a.m. feels like a terrified child at 2 a.m.? It is not because your life has actually fallen apart in the last 6 hours. It is because of a specific biological shutdown happening inside your skull right now.
To understand late-night anxiety, you have to understand the prefrontal cortex. Think of this part of your brain as the CEO of your life, control. It is the voice that tells you, relax, it's not that big of a deal. But here is the catch. The prefrontal cortex is incredibly energy expensive. It is like a muscle that fatigues after a long day of making decisions, processing information, and suppressing impulses. By the time the clock strikes 11 p.m., your CEO is exhausted. It effectively clocks out and goes offline. The logical guardrails that usually keep your thoughts in check are now gone.
But while the CEO is sleeping, the emotional center of your brain, the amygdala, is wide awake. In fact, research suggests the amygdala becomes more reactive to negative stimuli when you are sleep-deprived or fatigued. Without the prefrontal cortex there to inhibit it, the amygdala runs wild. It interprets everything through a lens of fear and survival. This creates a dangerous biological imbalance. You have high emotional reactivity paired with zero logical regulation. It is like giving a sports car to a toddler. Your brain begins to treat hypothetical scenarios as immediate threats, triggering a physiological stress response for problems that only exist in your imagination.
This creates what psychologists call cognitive distortion. When the logic center is offline, you lose the ability to see nuance. Everything becomes binary. A mistake becomes a failure. Solitude becomes loneliness. Uncertainty becomes disaster. Your brain starts connecting dots that don't actually connect. You might start analyzing your relationship, your career, or your finances, convinced that you have suddenly realized the truth about how bad things are. But this isn't clarity, it's fatigue. You aren't having a breakthrough, you are having a breakdown of executive function. The thoughts feel real because the emotions backing them are real, but the narrative attaching them to your life is a complete fabrication.
There is also an evolutionary reason for this. For thousands of years, night was when humans were most vulnerable to predators. We evolved to be hyper-vigilant in the dark. Your brain is hardwired to scan for danger when the sun goes down. In the modern world, however, there are no saber-toothed tigers lurking in the shadows, so your brain scans for the modern equivalent of danger: social rejection, financial ruin, and existential dread. Your amygdala is trying to protect you by keeping you alert to threats, but because it can't distinguish between a physical predator and a stressful email, it floods your system with cortisol over nothing.
Think back to the last time you stayed up worrying. Remember how, when you woke up the next morning, the problems that seemed insurmountable at 2 a.m. suddenly felt manageable? Did the problem change? No, your brain chemistry did. Sleep replenished the neurotransmitters in your prefrontal cortex. The CEO clocked back in. Suddenly, you had the logic and emotional regulation to see the situation clearly again. This stark contrast between your night brain and your morning brain
is the ultimate proof that late-night thoughts are biologically compromised. They are not insights, they are symptoms of a tired machine.
So, how do you use this information? You need to implement a strict rule. No serious decision-making or analysis after 11 p.m. Treat your late-night thoughts like a spam call. Do not answer them, and definitely do not engage with them. If a worry persists, use the brain dump method. Write it down on a piece of paper and tell yourself, I will deal with this with my morning brain. By writing it down, you signal to your brain that the threat has been recorded and will not be forgotten, allowing your amygdala to stand down. Do not try to solve the puzzle when you are missing half the pieces.
Your mind is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it has operating limits. Prefrontal cortex fatigue is real. The biological imbalance between your logic and your emotions late at night is real. Don't let a tired brain dictate the narrative of your life. The darkness is for resting, not for reasoning. Trust your biology, respect your rest, and remember, if it comes after 11 p.m., it is probably a lie. Wait for the sun, wait for the logic, and trust the version of you that is fully awake.